Alright, wasn't really expecting to make a video today, so this is going to be a little bit scuffed, but a lot happened this morning and I need to talk about it. So there's going to be a Nintendo Direct tomorrow, but perhaps even more notably, the dataminers finally missed on something. In a recent video, I went out on a limb and said I expected this update to be on July 13th. Well, that prediction is still viable, but a lot more up in the air now. But let me make something clear. This was all actually part of my plan. You see, Nintendo doesn't like being predicted. The data miners are on a hot streak and it hurts the ego a little bit. Of course, I posted my video too. A lot of new people subbed from that video and I'm very grateful for it. But perhaps some of you are thinking, maybe this guy is just a phony. Well, for those of you who are new around here, let me tell you that I am actually responsible for the booster pass in general. Last year, I put out a heavily researched 45-minute video called the MK9 Retro Track Reveal. Keep in mind, there had not been a single new course added to Mario Kart 8 in 7 years the day I had posted it. Surely the game was dead, so for fun, I worked on a project with the goal of analyzing patterns and accurately predicting the next game's tracks. Near the end of production, a Nintendo Direct was revealed for the next day, and I had a weird thought. This would be the day they revealed Mario Kart 9, because Murphy's Law wanted me to waste hours upon hours working on a video that would be outdated right before finishing. So I rushed the end of the project and posted the video that morning to get ahead of Nintendo, just in case. I'm assuming I got everything right, and that they had to pivot to Plan B. And that Plan B was the Booster Pass. All to make me look like a fool, I tell you. Well, now that I've posted a new video saying the Booster Pass is going to resume in July, maybe Nintendo wants me to look like a fool again. Because a ton of things were pointing to a July release initially. But many of those factors have been flipped on their heads the last 24 hours. But of course, this is good news. We should want the content as early as possible. To start, Bear has pointed out that they are accelerating the normal pace of the Wave 4 Switch articles here, and it's almost like they decided to change their mind on something. But even more importantly, the new word on the street from Koopa V is that the next tour will actually have a new city course, and it will not be a remake of the Animal Tour. The biggest reason a July release seemed probable was because we believed a new city track needed to be released in Tour first. And if the new city is actually coming up in the next tour instead of the one after it like we initially thought, there's no longer a reason to believe the next wave has to be in July. Spoiler warning for the city, the claim is that it is indeed Rome. So the first thought is that Rome will be a Wave 5 course. It would explain a lot. However, the one thing that makes me think that Vancouver still has an outside shot is that there may be some similarities between Rome and Athens, with the Colosseum and all that. I know there was some buzz that Wave 5 might just be 2 cities. Apparently Rome is going to be a nighttime track though, which makes me feel pretty confident that there will still be 3 in the wave. With very few total night courses, I think it'd be odd if it and Vancouver were both in the same wave, so I think one is going to be joining LA and Athens. So with the Nintendo Direct coming up tomorrow, we are about to get some news. It's going to be one of two things. Both feel almost equally likely to me at this point. The first is that there's a full reveal of Wave 5 and a release date next week. This would of course make me wrong, but it'd be the better timeline. There are some things that imply it logically, such as the Pikmin 4 release, and I read this comment recently too. I don't know the credibility behind it, but if the last tour original course was a Halloween themed track, a late October release could be in order, which would be the best timeline, I think. An October Wave 6 release would point to Wave 5 coming out around the current time period as well. On the other hand, there has been no precedent for a full Wave reveal in a Nintendo Direct up to this point. Yes, they did show off all of Wave 1 in a Nintendo Direct, but that was more of a booster pass at large reveal. Since then, Waves 2 through 4 have all been announced via Nintendo's morning announcements on their Twitter account. Wave 3 and 4 did get some time in the last 2 Directs as more of a teaser. Wave 3's teaser showed off Peach Gardens and Merry Mountain, while Wave 4 focused in on Yoshi's Island and Birdo as a character. These teasers didn't seem to mean the next wave would necessarily come soon after though. If they were to go this route again, I expect they would go the Wave 4 route, because Wave 5 is structured somewhat similarly to Wave 4 with the 3 cities, and because they would likely want to reveal another character again. If they did this, it would likely mean the release is in July, because if it were in June, at this point, we'd get the full reveal that typically happens a week in advance. The fun news for us is that I am pretty confident that at the very least we will know about the tour original course tomorrow at this time, since Merry Mountain and Yoshi's Island were revealed in the last teasers. This might be a new one altogether, but they could always go with Piranha Plant Cove and debut PD Piranha 2, I guess. This for some reason doesn't seem to be a popular prediction, but realistically speaking, I struggle to see what other characters that they would show off with a bathroom level. It would just make a lot of sense to me if they added PD Piranha now and did something special for the last wave. Anyways, I'm a little stumped and just excited to see what happens. I'll of course have my direct reactions up as soon as possible, so if you want to see them first thing, you know what to do. But before we close this out, I want to briefly continue with the character conversation. I haven't talked about them much, but there are currently 5 more characters set to return, and though we don't have a lot of leaks like we do for the courses, I want to give my thoughts on which characters might return. First off, if the theme of the booster pass was to bring back returning characters, much like Birdo's return implied with the double dash icon, it limits our options a little bit. And additionally, if we are working off the assumption that the characters will also come from Tour, there's not really many characters meeting this criteria to fit the remaining spots. We just have PD Piranha and Diddy Kong from Double Dash and Funky Kong from Mario Kart Wii. Oh, and Donkey Kong Jr. from Super Mario Kart 2. Wiggler, Honey Queen, Rob, and Koopa Paratroopa are not playable characters in Tour, so I've left them off the list. PD Piranha feels like a lock to me, given one of the originals is Piranha Plant themed, and this leaves us with 3 DK characters, which feels like a lot. Of course, many think DK Mountain will be in the final wave, which could be a course they could feature them, but with this being said, it's kind of hard to imagine DK Jr. actually getting in. Most people just assumed he was the normal DK back in the day anyway, but I do feel that Diddy Kong is a lock. He is just the most sensical other pick at this point. Funky Kong does not feel like a lock, but given some of the MKWii pandering I've seen so far, it feels really hard for me to believe they'd bring back every single character in that game except for him. It does feel like Dixie Kong is the more deserving character, but she just does not have the same Mario Kart legacy as Funky. I think Nintendo knows that. I saw this tweet by Mario Party Legacy earlier consisting of the remaining original characters, so I wanted to go through the remaining selections here. Pauline to me feels like a very obvious choice. Girl characters are typically a win for everyone because it gives the girls a character that isn't just a princess, and the boys another character to simp over. But real talk, I think a good way to spice up Wave 6 would be to bring a final surprise. So how about some battle maps? Maybe New York Minute B, because that's how you could seamlessly bypass the missed opportunity to debut her with New York Minute back in Wave 2. Bring back Paris B, Twilight House, and Cookie Land while you're at it too. Anyways, this would leave us with 1 character remaining, so let's speedrun these options. Peachette appears to just be an inferior option to Pauline. It feels like they already missed their opportunity with Nabbit, considering Ninja Hideaway would have been the perfect time for that. There's no way they didn't consider characters initially with the booster pass, so if they wanted him, I feel like he probably would have joined earlier. Same goes for Poochie, and even more so at that. They could have brought him back with Yoshi's Island and chose just Birdo instead. Captain Toad's an alt, no way on this one. Dixie Kong feels like a legit option, but I feel like if she made it in, it would be over Funky Kong and not taking this last spot. I find it hard to believe they'd put 3 Kongs in, and additionally, Pauline is kind of a DK character herself. King Babam would be very awesome. I just love him. He's super recognizable because of SM64. I think there's a shot here, but with PD and King Boo around, it starts to feel unlikely they add yet another heavy boss character. Unless they want to rebalance the game so we use heavies again, I'm not sure he makes it. But he is personally the one I want the most. Very funny character. There is no way in hell they put Monty Mole in. Like, it'd be really funny, I'm not gonna lie. Elite trolling character, but this dude is a course hazard, not a character. Charge and Chuck I also see at low odds. It's mainly just because of the remaining 2 that I haven't talked about yet. I think they just deserve it more. So that brings us to Hammer Bro and Kamek. Both feel like long overdue options. Hammer Bro was cut from MKWii and Kamek was cut from MK64. To be honest, they both deserve a spot over Funky Kong, just being realistic here. Despite the Hammer Bro being an iconic Mario enemy, I think Kamek has a slight edge due to the fact that he has been portrayed as a major character in more games. If this comment has any merit to it as well, Kamek is the character that would be the most in theme with a Halloween course as well. You know, broomstick and all. Anyways, I guess it's time for updated predictions. Surely this ages well. I do have a caveat though. If we get a teaser, let's run Piranha Plant Cove and PD Piranha Wave 5. Give me Kamek and a spooky course Wave 6 with the Kongs and DK Mountain as well. Maybe there's no Booster Pass 2, but a surprise with Pauline and a few battle maps to round out the roster would be cool also. Do I feel great about it? Well, no. Having Athens, Rome, and Piranha Plant Cove all in the same wave feels kind of weird. But Piranha Plant Cove is the only course I could see them pulling off in a teaser right now, since they'd only have to show off 1 character in said teaser. If they drop the full trailer tomorrow, things change a bit. Perhaps instead of Piranha Plant Cove, they would have DK Mountain, the Kongs, in Wave 5, and a surprise original course. Send it, I guess. We'll see what happens. I'll see you all on the other side.